Every day I get a reminder that I am no longer a spring chicken, okay? Not a spring chicken. My goodness. Whew. Let's move that out. I keep forgetting to do that. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. I know y'all probably hear that arguing and fight. That's what. Listen, it's four boys in this house. I'm sorry in advance. You finna hear that. They've been finding a reason to be arguing. They have been looking for reasons to be arguing. My goodness. And they so funny. They act like they missed each other so much. They missed each other so much. Only to be in there arguing all the time. Oh, I'm not on the right day. My bad. We won't be here very long today either. Ooh, what is this? Oh, okay. Man, oh man. Hope y'all are having an amazing day. Yeah. Um. Matter of fact, let me go make me a look. I'm gonna go. We got. I'm gonna just take. Give me like 2 minutes. I'm finna go make me some tea. No, you know what? Never mind. I'll wait. No, I'm about to go make me some tea. Hold on. my goodness. I couldn't even make it in there. They was already like, oh, what is it about kids? They have been. I feel like they are going out of their way to find stuff to argue about. Like they're in there currently arguing about if the marker is black or not. Everybody's in on it. All four kids, black. One of them said, "If it's not black, why do it sound black?" these children. I'm telling y'all, that's all right though, cause I love them. They in there building their kites or getting their. I'm making some tea. Hold on. They're in there building their. I don't need that much. Hey, babes. Um. First of all, them damn kids been arguing all day long. I'm talking about arguing. Um, they're in there currently arguing about if the color that one of them is coloring with is black. Talking about if it ain't black, then why it sound black? um, so I called you because they I went out there and they had set the basketball goal up.
They did that?
Yep.
I thought you had it over
No, I rolled it over here because they just, when I went out there, they was just playing where the grass was. And I was like, hold on. Uncle Bruce said, let me turn up his grass. So I moved it up here and then it fell over. And so the backboard broke. I was like, I'm out there in my nightgown trying to pull this thing, it. It was a catastrophe. But here we are, you know? Yeah. I told him that she was talking about doing that because Liam wasn't excited about playing on it. But they've been in there. I've been foiling disagreements all day. Again, you would think they didn't miss each other, but they did. They absolutely did.
I'll drop it later. But shit, as soon as I get back here, it's gonna be time to take. Did Jam send you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got it. His practice is at the Thunder basketball on 13th and Harvey.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, at that
Downtown.
little downtown. At that little place.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, we got it, and I told him so. And then he's gonna make dinner when we get back because he got some little pizzas to make to chef up. Whew. I'm supposed to be recording, but it's just on.
We got enough. Do we need to take 2 vehicles?
No, we could take. Well, yeah, we might need to. No, wait. How many seatbelts do we got in the back? 3.
3.
It's only 3. Yeah, then we need to take 2. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, all the boys want to ride with you, and I could just drive myself, so you can listen to them argue. Let them all ride with you, so you can get a good taste of that. So I had they in there working on their kites now, and then we'll put them together, and then the rest of the boys. I don't know if they play on all the goals down there. I asked Liam if they play on all the goals so that the other kids have something to play on, but who knows? Who knows? Okay, let me get myself to work because I've just been. All right, man. Love you. I'll see you later. Oh man. Mm-mm-mm. I hope y'all are all doing fantastic. This house don't usually have like a lot of kids in it. It just have kids in it for the summer, and I'm just always surprised at the kind of stuff they get into. So they've been in here playing video games. They've been playing my old games. So I done took the Nintendo 64 down. I done took the SNES down. I done took all that stuff down, and so they've been playing. But now they want to play Xbox, but Uncle Bruce got to set that up. I don't got time to mess with that big TV in there. That's all them. So yeah, we'll set that up later. But baby, I don't know. I just heard somebody yelling. Is y'all trying to find a marker? Look, it's 162 markers in there. That is an exact number. Okay, that is an exact number of how many markers are in there. So, ooh, these kids, they so funny though. I love them. Okay, so today, what are we talking about? Today on Tuesday, it is Power Pleasure Tools Tuesday, and on Tuesdays, that means we discuss different types of power dynamics and how to be able to engage in them safely, right? Because power dynamics can be kind of tricky, especially if you are interested in getting into the root in of it, and finding a safe place to get into it at is also a thing, because power dynamics, just like anything else, can be used in a way that does not honor the person that's in it. And each of those dynamics has a certain set of rules and regulations that people are not usually interested in. And so we have to you know we have to break it down. We have to break it down. So let's talk about the first basis of power dynamics. Most of them fall under the BDSM umbrella. Okay, and so BDSM, even though it's four letters, it stands for six things. So it stands for um, bondage and discipline, dominant and submissive, and sadomasochism and masochism. Okay, so that's the B and the D and the S and the M. And each one of those dynamics has a different field that you move through, um, and can be explored in different ways. Okay. So if you are interested in BDSM, my first step to be able to tell you um, the safest way to get in is to start with the D and the S. Okay, so dominant and submissive is going to be the safest entry point into BDSM, because dominance and submission actually teach you the rules of or how the groundwork of rules work for BDSM. The Now each one of it has its own set of rules, but they all have a groundwork that they're built upon. So in a DS relationship, it's usually going to see a big D, so a capital D, small s. That's the way you'll see it: big D slash small s. And so dominant submissive relationships are teaching relationships, where someone is the dominant, that is the person that is setting the rules, setting the boundaries, and the submissive is the person who is performing the rules and performing the rituals that are required by the dominant. Okay. Now, in a dominant submissive relationship, in all BDSM relationships, the two people who are there make the rules. They make the rules on how, it moves or whatever. Now, it has its own subset of rules, but you also have the ability to make those rules. So in a dominant submissive relationship, there's one person in charge and there is one person who is cared for. Okay. Now, dominant and submission does not mean one person beats the mess out of another person and one person gets the mess beat out of them. That's not what it means. A dominant and submission relationship is usually a set of rules that a person has to follow, that someone has made up. And if you do not follow those rules, there are also a set list of consequences for not following those rules. And that's the basics of a dominant submissive relationship. So in a DS relationship, you learn, if you are the dominant, you learn how to build boundaries, how to build a framework for um, someone to follow. And then as a submissive, it is to be followed, right? So let's talk a little bit about the dominant part of that. In the dominant space of a DS relationship, it is your job to set the rules, set the boundaries, but also set the care for your submissive. So if you have a set of rules they have to follow, it's not just that, it's also the care that you take in providing for your submissive. You are the person that they are leaning on for their care and support. And that can look like whatever your submissive needs. Now, if your submissive is into age regression, then you would create a plan around that age regression. If your submissive is into like brat play, and brat play is a little bit different because a lot of the times those dynamics are created so that submissives can try to take it, but can try to push the boundaries. But in that, you have the kind of care that is required. So if your sub likes baths, if they like gifts, if they like meals prepared for them, you care for them as someone who is solely responsible for this person, okay, and solely responsible for their needs. And it is your job as the dominant to take care of their needs. And so it's not just being rude or being mean or giving out spankings and punishments. It's not just that. It's also caring for the emotional and physical well-being of your submissive, okay? So one of the things when I get these kind of dynamics in my practice that we try to make sure that we keep at the forefront is that this is supposed to be um, enjoyable for both parties, okay? And I know people think like, why does anybody think that, why would people want to get into that? Like, what's the deal with that? Like, why would people be going through that? Or why would they want to do that? Why would somebody want to be getting on punishment? Or why would somebody want to be dishing out punishments? If it's not you, that's fine. Maybe another one of those letters fits you better, okay? And that is totally okay. You don't have to fall into the same category as everyone else. But usually somewhere in there, if you have to be honest with yourself, somewhere in that framework is going to be, hold on, I got to make sure ain't no parents texting me. No, it's not. Somewhere within that framework is going to be the type of environment that you do find attractive, okay? So again, you have the B and the D, the S, and the S and the M. Now, on that, another one of those responsibilities as a dominant is punishments and repercussions, okay? Now, this is the part that people struggle with, even though you would think that that's the part that would be easy. It's actually not. It's not easy to want to punish someone who wants to be punished. Like, it's really easy for you to be mean or to punish someone that you don't like. It's easy to do that, but it's not as easy to dish out punishments and things for someone that you actually do like, or someone who also likes that you're dishing out the punishment, someone who wants the punishment, right? So you're put in an environment where you have to feed this narrative that you aren't really sure how to feed, and that you don't want to ruin. Like, you don't want to ruin the relationship. You want to try to maintain the level of integrity that may have existed prior to this, or whatever, or even outside of the confines of a scene. But again, this is going to be your job. It's your job as a dominant to have the rules and to adhere to the punishments and the rules that take place. And so that's really the hardest part of being a dominant, is sticking to your guns about what you said you were going to do if this didn't get done, and actually following through. And so once you master that, once you master the care and the delicacy of your submissive, and then setting your boundaries, and then doling out punishments for not meeting those requirements, then boom, you're in a good space, right? And so that helps your submissive as well. Now, on the other side of that, as a submissive, it is your job to be cared for, right? To follow the rules, to follow the engagements, whatever they may be. If your partner says, hey, when I come home, you need to be, on your knees ready to greet me, If your partner comes home and you are not on your knees ready to greet your partner, then that's going to be an issue, right? And so you and your dominant can build the relationship or build how you want that to happen based on, what both of your needs are. And so if your partner does come to you and say, "Hey, when I get home, you need to be on your knees in front of the door waiting for me. I will call you when I'm 5 minutes out to give you a chance to get ready, to let you know that I'm on the way home, or I will share my location with you so that you can see where I am. And when I get there, these are the expectations." And then you, as a submissive, it is your job to meet those expectations, to follow your rule, and to follow your dominance rule, and to meet the needs of the person that you are also working with, right? And usually submissives get a good amount of joy from doing this, from pleasing their dominance. And so people usually feel a little more comfortable in this area when they really get down into it than they do on the dominant side. But sometimes you can also be switch, right? You can also, and that means that it's like being verse. You can go from one side of the spectrum to the other if, if the scene calls for it, right? So, um but that's going to be your job, is to follow the rules, and to also, there's a certain level of care that's required of you as well for your dominant, right? You want to make sure that they are fed, that they are, you can rub their feet, you can rub their back, any kind of, physical touch, intimacy, whatever it is that they require of you, that's what you would be responsible for. And so the reason I say this is the best way to get in, because it's a teaching, DS relationships are teaching relationships. They teach dominants how to run, and they teach submissives how to run. You learn the basics of what it is, what it means to be a dominant, to be a submissive, and you can move those into the other dynamics with that foundation. Okay. Now, let's go to bondage. Okay. Bondage in submission is a little bit different, because now you're talking about restraints, right? You're not just talking about a lifestyle or a set of rules. We are putting in restraints. And so in that, you have the option of being a rope top for bondage, or you can be a rope bottom for bondage. Now, a rope top, of course, is going to be the person who is doing the tying, right? So, what would be your responsibility as someone who is doing the tying? It is going to be your responsibility for the safety of the person that you're tying up. First and foremost, it's going to be your responsibility to have knowledge of what's going on. It's going to be your responsibility to be able to read bodily cues. It's going to be your responsibility to set up a safety system for the both of you. And it's going to be your responsibility to maintain your aftercare once you and your partner are done playing. Okay, so let's go back. Well, let's start with aftercare. Um, Usually in very intense scenes, aftercare is important. And it doesn't actually have to be that intense. It could be, intense is it's a feeling. It doesn't have to necessarily be a super big thing that you're doing. It could be more like just something that internally triggers you, that brings you to a space that you may need help once this is over, processing what's going on in your body, right? And so what does that mean? So say this is your very first time being restrained, being tied up, right? You you found this person online, you you read some reviews, you know someone who's dealt with them before. So, but you don't know, you've never communicated, these type of things with your partner. This is your first time ever doing this. And so when you go into those scenes, you're going to be really anxious. You're going to be really anxious, right? But if you get into that scene and it's everything that you thought it would be, if it is just amazing experience and it's everything that you assumed would happen with this type of interaction, you are going to fall into this place where, or your sub is going to fall into this place where they are going to kind of like release, right? And they're going to go into this place where their anxiety is all built up and, whatever. And then they're going to have this big emotional dopamine rush when they get exactly what they want. Well, what happens after that is that because you've used all the dopamine receptors in your body, it's dumped all those feel good chemicals and emotions. Now your body is going to do what's called like bottoming out. And so your sub's body is going to do what's called bottoming out, or a sub drop, where you feel empty. You feel like you've used all of your dopamine in your body. And if you've ever done that before, you know what it's like. It's kind of like, you remember when you were young and you used to go swimming and you would just play and swim and it would just be euphoric, but you were always exhausted by the time you got home. No matter how much, even if you went to the pool and you didn't even swim, you were just always exhausted by the time you got home. It's kind of like that. Like, you just like, I don't have nothing else left. It's a blah kind of feeling, and it just gives you the it just gives that sub the emotion they were coming for, the feeling they were coming for. But what that means is that after this is over, it is going to be that bondage rope top responsibility to care for the people during that time frame. And so what that means for aftercare is, it is going to be you spending some time with your sub however they choose. They can choose what happens. You can sit in silence. You can talk about video games. You can cuddle. You can play a board game or play, whatever it is, to just kind of ride that middle feeling out, so that you don't feel like this high, 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 and then this super low, right? This super, you know, I'm just blah. I'm just feeling blah, right? So it's the way that the body processes that dopamine dump. This is the reason why aftercare is important. Okay, being able to read body signals and being able to understand safety. It's important that you know the sub that you're working with, so that you know their cues. It's important to discuss cues and discuss safety words and safety gestures, so that we know, so that no matter what's going on in the scene, that we two are locked in. The rope top and the rope bottom are locked in. And I know when you're okay and when you're not okay, even when you can't use your words. Okay. So opening that up to leave that space open to understand and to know your partner and to have discussions about those types of activities. And then you can go from there on like how you want to handle the safety mechanisms, right? You need to make sure you have the tools, you need to have scissors, you need to have, water, whatever else is need by, just in case something goes on or you have any issues, that you can get your sub out easily from the bondage. And, just making sure that you are creating a space where they feel comfortable and they are safe. Okay. You need to have knowledge of what's going on. You just can't go in there and start tying knots and tying ropes. And, because you could pinch nerves, you can cause long-term damage, you can cause permanent damage by, cutting up some of the nerves in the arms and, in the other extremities, things like that. So it's important that you have an idea of the body meridians and where, veins are and where nerves are, and that you are communicating with the sub so that they know that you are aware of what's going on, right? Just have a basic knowledge of what's in store. Okay. Now, as a sub, and a lot of the conversation about dominant submissives usually put the dominants in charge, but that's actually not the case, right? Because nothing happens unless the sub wants it to. There is nothing that would take place if the sub was not there and did not agree, right? So all of the activities that take place in that scene is agreed upon and controlled by the submissive, not the dominant, right? Your job as the dominant is to make their dreams come true. It is not to make your dreams come true. It is to make their dreams come true. And for them, their job is to enjoy the place. Enjoy it, and just, I'm supposed to be able to show up Now, I do have a responsibility to the scene, I do have a responsibility to the person, but I don't have to physically do anything except to make my boundaries known and to, make sure that I'm staying in communication with my dominant, right? And that is how you move through those scenes with safety. So, if you are interested in being either one of those types of dynamics, either a rope top or a rope bottom, there is a lot of knowledge out there. There are books you can get, there are people you can follow. But here's the thing about that too, especially for if you are looking for, if you're one part of the equation looking for another part of the equation, you definitely want to do your research. Okay, you cannot just find somebody on Instagram who claims to be a dominant and just hook up with them. People, as they always have, will use different spaces and things to create their own narratives around the world. They don't necessarily care about your safety. They don't care if you're having fun. This is about them. And, those are the kind of people that you want to avoid. Now, usually those people do exist, but luckily people know they exist. And so, with that, because people know they exist, all you got to do is just ask some people who have been in tune with them, or ask someone else that you know that's in the lifestyle about recommendations for who they would suggest to have a safe experience. Hold on, let me. um, I know y'all can hear them. I know you can. I don't know. That's just such a cool noise to me. Just like they're in there playing um door basketball. They in there dunking over each other and jumping and like they scrambling for the balls and all kind of stuff. Like they are crazy. After this though, we probably gonna do some swimming. So I'm gonna put these kids in this pool and I'm gonna sit out here and mind my business. Okay, and that's what I got planned. I need to put a jacket on the youngest one. I don't think he's tall enough yet. Okay, that was a little note for myself. But bondage, rope top, and rope bottom relationships are cool. If you've ever practiced any kind of restraints, you've likely slid into this lane, so it's not completely foreign to you. Honestly, if I had to say what was the most foreign, it would probably be dominant and submissive, just because people don't go through the steps the way they should, which is why a lot of those relationships are fraught with misunderstandings and violence and all those types of things, because everybody has a role. If nobody cares to learn the role, then nobody's taking the time to build the framework for a healthy relationship. So so that's that. So that's rope tops and rope bottoms. And then the last is going to be masochism and sadomasochism. And so here's the thing about that, is that you have likely slipped on into that lane as well, right? I know that when you talk about it, everybody's like, oh, whips and chains and, plucking hairs and pulling fingernails and all that. That's not what it is. It can be if that's what you want, but it's also spanking. It's also because, sadomasochism and masochism are a community effort. So, and I always get these mixed up. Hold on, because I'm finna lie. I think sadomasochism is the perpetrator, and I think masochism is. Do I have it backwards? Hold on. I always have it backwards. Yes, I had it right. Now, you know what? Every time I say that, I do always have it right. So, sadomasochism is when you like to inflict the pain on the person. So, And it's not just even inflicting, it's also just enjoying watching someone else be humiliated or having the pain inflicted on them. That is sadomasochism. Masochism is liking the pain to be inflicted upon, or humiliation inflicted upon you. Okay. And so, again, if you've ever been, slapped, choked, flipped upside down, that is you engaging in masochism. Okay. If you have ever slapped, choked, pinched a bit of nipple, things like that, then you are a sadomasochist, right? Of course, it's different levels, but at the end of the day, that's what you are. If you receive pleasure from inflicting pain onto others or watching people have that pain inflicted onto them, then you are a sadomasochist. If you like that pain, if you like to be slapped, if you like to be bitten, if you like to be choked, that would make you a masochist, right? And so you've likely been on both sides of that spectrum, actually. And again, it's one of those things that people like frown their faces up at, like, I'm not doing that. I'm not. We not. But at the end of the day, you done it, and that I have to remind people all the time when I do events, and they're like, "Oh my God, I don't do that," and I'm like, "You like get your ass slapped? Hmm? You like that? Do you like watch people slap asses? I enjoy watching people getting their ass slapped. It's one of my favorite things. Do you like that? Interesting. So, um, this is not this is not a judgment zone. We not doing that. We're not here to judge. We're not here to tell nobody that what they like or don't like is wrong. But what I'm saying is that a lot of the things that you are frowning your nose up at, you are also actively participating in. Okay, so and you always see, I want my ass slapped. I want my hair pulled. I want all this. I want all that. Okay, well, then that means you're a masochist. And it's nothing wrong with that. All things have a name. Everything has a name. You just have to understand that you demonizing is just like when all them people found out that the Affordable Care Act was Obamacare. Hey, it's the same thing. Just because you done gave it a new little name, or just because you wearing a different outfit when you do it, it's still the same thing. So don't turn your nose up at these people. If they got noses too. Everybody got noses. Everybody got noses, and they all smelling the same thing. So we have to get off our high horse when it comes to different kind of kinks, because we will demonize people for behaviors that we are actively participating in. And sometimes that's done on purpose, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you really think you better than other people because you don't participate in certain behaviors, but you participate in his cousin, right? you close. You something like that. You something like it. So just be open minded about what it is that you are. I think they're fighting over the bathroom right now. Let me drink my tea. Yeah. Ciao. It's me. I could have took off all week. I could have. That's what I usually do when they come. So they're actually not used to me working um, while they're here for their week, because I don't usually do that. So I usually take off. But I'm trying to reach a goal. So I was like, I gotta do it. I'm gonna have to just buckle down. So, but I'm about to go put them kids in that pool, baby, because y'all wearing me out. And they finna get in that pool. You know it's bad when you get that long stop. Stop. Dang kids. So, power dynamics have a place, they have a use, and most people are already using them. Okay. So, what does it look like in the home? What does it look like in a regular old suburban or trap house bedroom? Okay. What does that look like? Again, it looks like, um, talking you through it, It looks like that's dominant behavior. It looks like begging. That's submissive behavior. It looks like ass slaps. It looks like hair pulling. It looks like a little choke. Okay? It looks like giving instructions. Do that like do that like I like it, and do that and run that there and put that and then put that. All of those are traits of BDSM relationships. So, depending on how you feel and what feels good in your body, you can use that and build upon it to build a space where you and your partner can create the kind of environment that actually suits where y'all are on that spectrum, right? So, if you were to do that, what's today? This is June. Oh, okay. Oh, I was about to tear something up. Like, what is that? I thought I missed something. I didn't. Anyway, so it is creating a framework that works for the both of you. Again, those rules, when they're set, they are agreed upon by both the dominant and the submissive. So the submissive, again, is the one that controls the show in all scenarios. The sadomasochist cannot do what the masochist has not allowed. The bondage rope top cannot do what the rope bottom does not allow. So you're talking about relationships that have very fine and very linear ideas of this is what we do, this is what we don't do. And I think BDSM is really, really good for people who do not have practicing consent, who do not um, know how to move in those type of spaces, how to set boundaries, how to follow boundaries. And for a host of reasons, people could have issues with dealing with those types of things, right? It's not just necessarily that, you know, I don't want to or whatever, or, this is just something I want to do. It could be a host of reasons why people are drawn to this lifestyle. Many people who fall under the submissive umbrella are actually very dominant in their everyday lives. So you're looking at CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, you're looking at inventors, you're looking at engineers and all these type of people. And the appeal to a submissive lifestyle for someone who is usually dominant is that it feels good to let someone else be in charge and to turn your brain off. Like, what if you just always had to be in charge? It was always your responsibility to make all the decisions. It's always your responsibility to figure out what to do, what's going on, is everybody good? And then you could find someone who wants to be that for you, and all you have to do is show up. They've already set all the rules. Show up and do what they asked you to do. That's all you have to do. So, when you create those kinds of narratives where people can escape that everyday life of, making all the decisions, doing all the work, doing all the stuff, then you can create an environment that allows that person to just exist and to be cared for and to have someone else be them for them. Okay. And so that's what the allure is. And then on the other end of that, some people, being a dominant is actually a a very skilled environment. It's a skilled niche that you have to be able to fit into. And so when people are really good at it and they are good dominants, they make the environment so blissful, and they know how to do it. They know how to please. They know how to listen to their subs. They know how to create the scene that they're looking for. And so you just have this option of someone delivering an amazing amount of care to you. One of the parents is already texting me. Let me text it. Hold on. That's so funny. Moms are so funny. They be like, "How my baby doing?" Girl in here being a terrorist. I ain't thinking about you, girl. You there tearing up everything. That's what. That's what's happening. They're tearing up everything. Oh, hold on. That's not the word I was looking for. Okay. So how do we, girl, nonstop. Hey, oh, when I get out of here, are you on lunch? Are you on lunch? Because if you're on lunch, we finna get out for here. Because I got to listen. Okay, let me know if you on lunch. Let me know if you on lunch, cause girl, we got business, friend. We got business. Um, but okay, so how do we introduce those power dynamics into our lives, into our like? If I'm interested in, um, starting up one of these scenes or getting into this with my partner, how do I bring it to the table? What do I do? Um, First, you need to do some research. That's always going to be your first step. Before you bring any kind of kink to your partner, you need to have an idea of what that kink is. Don't bring your kink in and drop it off and expect your partner to figure out all the pieces. That is not how kinks work. Uh, Give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes, and I'm gonna call you. I'm here. Give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes, Red. Okay. So that's how you introduce. I mean, if you want to bring it into the bedroom, you need to have some basic knowledge of what it is that you're trying to incorporate. Okay. If you're thinking about um, dominant submissive, you need to have the idea of which side you want to be on. You need to do the research about that. You want to do masochism, sadomasochism, you need to do the research and find out how far you want that to go. What is that going to look like for you? What is the expectation from the people that are playing with you? So on and so forth. Now, I also want to remind you that many of these kinks don't require sexual activity at all. So you can go out and you can have these scenes and have these relationships with people without having to engage in sexual activity. So if you want to just be tied up, you can find a rope top. They can tie you up and then you can go home to your partner. Like if you don't think that's something that they would be into, or if they um, say that, hey, that's not really me, that's something that you can go out and experience without having to, cheat on your partner. Because again, you can have sex at any time. Like, sex is, you can get sex anywhere. You can get sex at the grocery store, but you can't get a good bondage experience and get that, right? And so if you have oh man, oh man, she said it froze. But you have that as an opportunity to bring that in, to do the research for it, and then share that with your partner. Or if you remove the sexual component from that, you can get the experience, which most of those scenes, if I'm keeping it a buck, most of those scenes do not involve sex, right? Because you're so exhausted from just the excitement of the scene and whatever you're getting into, that that doesn't really come up. Hey, and when you see it, like when you see the videos of people participating in it or whatever, you very rarely see penetration or sexual activity. They do in the adult videos, but that's what they're selling. So but many of the times those scenes come from um they come outside of sexual activity. So you can explore, you can find a local dungeon near you. There are usually places in every city, no matter how um you know religious, Protestant, whatever city you live in, there's usually a dungeon there. I'm in Oklahoma City and there's a dungeon here. Now, I don't know of a lot of dungeons, but I do know there's a dungeon here, but it's mostly white people in there. But I do know we have one, right? And also, I'll encourage you that if there is not one in your area that meets the needs that you require, make one. Make one. Okay. Um, it is, those scenes are necessary. They are inclusive. They are a safe space for people to learn about their bodies and learn about their kinks. And so, absolutely, like, but again, in most cases, you can find one in your area. Find someone in the scenes. Um, Really, you can Google it. You can go on to like sites like FetLife, and they usually have community sections depending on where you are. They have a community section. They have meetups and all kinds of things for every type of kink. If you're a furry, if you like knife play, if you like race play, whatever your specific niche of your kink is, they can you will there's usually a group for it. Matter of fact, let's okay. I'm gonna bring it up. Let me log in. I'm gonna wait there because I don't need y'all in my business like that. Why is my password not getting in there? Oh, you know why? Because that's not the I don't be logging in from there. So what if I take this out and then I'm gonna go to FetLife and then we'll log in. Oh, and then let me share my screen and I'll kind of show you. Now, okay, hold on. Before I put this, ooh, maybe I shouldn't. I'm not gonna put this up because it is going to there is gonna be pictures on here that will get me blocked off of everything that I'm on. Okay, let me go see if I can find like the community part and then see group activity feed. Nope, there's a girl getting a with a drill in her butt at the top of the screen, so that's a no. Okay, but I will say there is in here. It has a group that says Chicago People of Color, um, New Orleans. There's a group called WinStar World Casino Fund. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna make yourself a FetLife account, and you are going to just kind of just go around, just get do some piddling around, see what you can find, and you can most likely find a group of whatever you're into in that area. Okay, so I think those are my yeah. FetLife is one of the best sites, and of course, OnlyFans. You pay for it, whatever you got to do with it. Hey, hey, but FetLife is usually like a lot of regular people, so you have to be wary of that. But also, those are all just people trying to do the same thing that you're doing. So, don't demonize it too much because everybody's here for the same reason. People manipulate, and move how they want, but at the end of the day, most people are here. Most people are there for the same reason. Okay. All right. All right. So let's talk about what we got planned for the rest of the week. Tomorrow is going to be Ask Coach Katasha. Um, Oh man. Um, that's going to be Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you have any sexual questions, please feel free to show up and drop them in the chat, and I'm going to give you a live answer. On Thursday, we're going to be talking about male wearable devices, which is going to be treating erectile dysfunction in men. That's at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then Friday is late night with Coach Katasha, which we're going to be talking about everything because that's what we do. We don't have no kind of sense on by Friday at 9 o'clock, baby. I am, yeah. So please, check in. You can follow us on YouTube, Twitch. You can watch the stream on TikTok if you want, and come in. Let us know what you think, what you're doing, and we will be here every day, Monday through Friday. talking about buttholes and stuff. So I hope to see you here. If you have any questions or anything, or you want to send any questions to be read or to be asked tomorrow without having to out yourself, you can send that to expressionoverrepression@gmail.com, or you can send them to any of my social media networks and I will get them. All right. All right. That's going to be our power dynamic show for the day. Play nice.